Listeners beware, you're in for a scare. Ha 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 ha.
Howdy folks, welcome to Nightmare on Fear Street and I Am Fine podcast, and I'm your host Zack.
And I'm your other host Meg.
And I'm Cameron.
Woo, it's really cool to have Cameron on the show. Yay! Cameron, what do you do?
I am a YouTuber. I make bookish YouTube videos. I write. I'm an author of There Are Monsters Here, which is a novella. It is on sale on Amazon for 99 cents if you want to pick it up. Yeah, I'm a big horror fan, so horror is also very prominently displayed on my channel.
Oh yeah, so you have like the world's sexiest library. It's like the library you put on like an adult website. It's like, show me sexy libraries, and it's the first one that pops up. Show me sexy libraries in my area.
Hashtag book porn.
Those are the books that you can't take home to dad. Am I right?
No, those are the ones you stay out of the basement because that's where dad keeps his good books.
Oh yeah, that's where he keeps the special books.
Guys, I just have a lot of goosebumps, that's all. I don't know where you guys are going with this, but...
You go through, like, every book in your house, and you open them up, and they're all Goosebumps books, but they've got, like, the covers of other books taped on the outside.
Arthur Miller's Death as a Salesman really seems different now as an older adult. Who knew the camera did it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of werewolves in it.
Is this like some type of Halloween edition? Why did the camera do it all along? So, Meg, how was your spooky week?
Well, I have been working on a new show with my boyfriend, Henry. I'm not actually hosting it, but it should be pretty funny. We're rebooting his thing that he used to do on his YouTube channel where him and his friend do dramatic readings of just the worst erotic fan fiction on the internet.
I love like YouTube videos like the one that Moscow X did, I think. It was like classy readings of terrible fan fictions.
Yeah. I mean, they're not, like, I say fan fiction, but most of them are sort of like original situations. Only a few of them are actually of licensed characters, but they are of the quality of fan fiction. But it's all like internet stuff, like what's that guy that makes all of those? My Tyrannosaurus Craves Chaos and Bigfoot's Love Slave and all of those kinds of things.
Oh, you mean Chuck Tingle?
Chuck Tingle. That sort of, like, level of insanity.
You know what the ironic thing about this, Meg, is I got invited to go to the Trauma booth and meet Chuck Tingle this week at Stan Lee's Comic-Con.
You would be insane to not go. You have to go. And then you have to. And then you have to get in touch with Henry and come on the podcast and talk about your experience meeting Chuck Tingle.
Maybe I have to see if I can get tickets.
Yeah,
still,
so
because I got invited, but I didn't get tickets.
Sorry, you guys lost me at Bigfoot's Love Slave.
Oh yeah, no. Do you know who Chuck Tingle is?
No idea, no.
He writes these just absolutely sort of like Harlequin, Mills and Boone, but like even shittier than that, and like they're all available on Amazon for like $3, and he constantly churns out these incredibly ridiculous erotic novels that all involve like a lot of them involve dinosaurs. He did a Brexit themed one which was called Pounded by the British Pound.
Oh my god.
The best part, though, are the covers, because they're really, like, awfully photoshopped, but they're, like, they need to be collected and saved in a vault somewhere.
It's crazy.
I'm currently looking up these covers right now. Chuck Tingle. Oh, whoa. Hello.
Cameron, would you like to describe a cover for us?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
That seems like the proper response.
Okay, this one's called... Oh, geez. I'm sorry, Mom. Here we go. President Donald Loch Ness Trump pounds America's butt by Chuck Tingle. And there is a young man. He's very built. He's wearing nothing but a pair of underwear. And in the background, there is a man in a suit. But he's not a man. He's actually the Loch Ness Monster. And that's all I'm going to say. My life is never going to be the same after this.
This is what happens when you come on our show. So, Cameron, how was your spooky week?
Dude, we're getting ready for Halloween. I am spookified, like, to the max. I've been watching nothing but horror films and reading spooky books, and I'm just really excited.
Any horror movies that you enjoyed this Halloween season?
I started watching it the other night. I haven't finished it yet because I've been too busy, but I'm watching the 1980s remake of The Blob, which is really good. It's got some fantastic effects.
I love that version.
That is one of my favorite movies of all
Shawnee
time,
Smith
honestly.
is in it. You can't beat it.
No, you can't beat Shawnee Smith. Like, in a fight, Shawnee Smith
Oh
will
yeah,
deck you.
totally. She survived Jigsaw.
Well, all I want is The Blob versus The Stuff. That's all the movie I want in my life.
That would be amazing.
Dude, what about Blob versus the Stuff versus the Thing. Who would win?
I feel like they'd all absorb each other, and it'd just be like this weird... It has to be directed by David Cronenberg, first off.
No, I'm not saying, like, if this was a movie. I'm saying, like, in real
I
life.
think it'd be The Blob.
I'm saying just who would win in a fight.
It would have to be The Blob, because I feel like it absorbs more than, like, the Thing, or the creature, is more... It needs organic bodies to, like, survive, whereas the Thing just dissolves people.
What if the Thing just turns into another
I'd
blob?
be so confused, and I feel like it would be a never-ending story.
It would be like a snake eating its
Yeah.
own tail.
And then the world would end because the blob snake would eat the roots of the world tree or whatever they believe is going to happen.
And Ragnarok will begin.
Yes.
And all the warriors of Valhalla will emerge.
Zach, what did you do this week?
I did a lot of reading, both of this book, and I got this really cool book, Paperback from Hell, which is a deep dive history into 70s and 80s horror paperbacks. And some of these are amazing. Like, the first one they showed off that made this guy want to write this book was Meg. You listening to this?
Yeah.
Were they the leprechauns?
They are evil
The
Nazi
little people.
leprechauns. Yeah, The Little People by John Christopher.
Okay, so run that by me again. Did you or did you not just say Nazi leprechauns?
Oh, no. So there's a book in here. The first one's called The Little People, and it has Nazi leprechauns, but not only that, but they have whips because they're totally into S&M, and they're fighting the whole premise of this is a SS officer and a woman in a concentration camp. They fell in love while in the concentration camp, and they're going to get married.
That sounds like a wild ride from start to finish, and I am absolutely 100% on board.
I was going to say, this is Paperbacks from Hell, so this is the how the book starts out, where the author is saying that he found this book at a science fiction convention, and how he saw the cover, and then he took it home and decided to read it, and then was like, yeah, he was like completely blown away, and then he started diving into all of these horror paperbacks from the 80s and the 70s, and it just sent him on a big journey to find everything he could.
I'm so glad he did.
It is one of the most bizarre ones. I've read a couple of these in real life, and I did that, but that wasn't the weirdest thing that happened to me this week. I felt like something out of a horror movie, so it has been legitimately 108 degrees outside, and usually when I work out, I decide to take a shower, and I decided to take a shower, and the water wasn't coming out. I was like, oh, I wonder why.
I'm glad you decided to take a shower. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
I'm glad you shower.
So I'm like, I guess I could turn it to bath mode and see what's going on. So I turned to bath mode, and my water's black.
Oh no!
I was going to ask if it was blood.
Oh, it wasn't blood. No. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. And then I noticed that the water was wiggling. And all the water that had popped out was ants. So my whole bathtub was just filled with ants.
Almost the exact same thing happened to me a while ago. I went into my bathroom to take a shower, and I realized that the entire, side wall of the shower was covered in ants.
Except this came out of the faucet, and I was just like, nope.
Well, I wasn't there when the ants showed up, so I can't confirm or deny if they didn't come out of the faucet and then just walk around on the wall.
For me, I was just like, nope, I'm going to burn my house down, but because it's been so hot, the ants are getting into any water supply possible. So it's a common problem, apparently, when it's super hot, that you bathe with ants.
I have never had this happen before, but I am knocking on wood because I do not want to see that when I turn on my water.
Yeah, so that's what happened this week. So that was interesting. But not besides that, we read The Mysterious Matter of I.M by Diane Stanely, and I could sum this up in one word. Adorable.
I love this book. This is, honestly, probably my favorite one we've done.
Oh yeah, no, this is because the Undead Express is such a good book.
Yeah, I mean it's a close tie. It's a close tie. In the Undead Express, I really love the fact that they were in the subway and they didn't leave the subway, and it didn't they could have left the subway, but they didn't leave the subway.
My favorite was always still Body Parts with Zombie Confucius.
It was still like leagues ahead of Body Parts. Like it's very much more it's better written. It doesn't have that cringy 90s dialogue like unreal, totally unreal.
But Meg, this was actually a book, and it's still sold in the stores today.
This is like better than Body Parts, but still there were like things about it that reminded me of Body Parts.
But I feel like this book felt like a book that it actually had people had motivations.
Yes.
And there was twists and turns, and there was no real gimmicks, because the whole book is just an homage to both, R.L. Stine and then just the like Goosebumps phenomenon.
Yeah. And also a lot like similar, I think what I said in the Body Parts episode is that I appreciated the fact that they like referenced sort of more adult things. This one is the same. Like they talk about the Cold War. There's a part where one of the characters is like, I hate to say this, but I think she was on drugs. They just reference things that are a little bit more like taking the kids seriously and being like, hey kids, we know that you're well informed about the world and you know about these topics and that they exist. Don't sort of exist in this weird alternate reality where like things are in a bubble. They sort of like acknowledge the world outside.
Murder doesn't exist and kidnapping is real.
Yeah, I mean, like, everything, in Goosebumps, it's always, like, everything is spooky skeletons and nothing hurts.
Thrills and chills.
Thrills and chills, huh? What did you think, Cameron?
I love this book. I actually read it when I was a kid. I read it about 2 or 3 times. It's been a long time since I read it, but reading it now is pretty much just how I remember it. There's some things at the end that I didn't quite remember, but it's just such a cozy book, and it's perfect for the fall time. It's just like, you bundle up and you can read it really quickly, and it's very breezy.
I really like the writing style as well. It's from the main character. The main character's name is Franny. Yeah, let's just get into the book. We'll talk about it as we go.
So the book opens up with Franny and her siblings Zoe and JD.
Somebody in that house is a big, big, big fan of J.D. Salinger.
Did you know that? J.D. Salinger, the guy that wrote Catcher in the Rye?
Yeah, and one of his other books was called Franny and Zoe.
Hey, Meg, you want to know something really funny? Did you know that his son played Captain America in the 90s?
Brett Brown? No.
Yeah.
The other one. No, there was another Captain America movie, wasn't there?
Yeah, in the 90s. He played Captain America in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I haven't seen that one.
So J.D. Salinger's kid played Captain America in the 90s, and they made 2 movies, and they're both weird.
I had no idea about this.
So the book opens up with Franny and her siblings. They're like, we keep moving everywhere. This is uncool.
Unreal. No, Unreal is good. Unreal is good. Wait, unreal. What's that? I don't know. Real.
Unradness.
Unradical.
So what happens is they move to a place, and maybe 2 or 3 months later, they move because their dad's, he supervises community colleges.
He's a consultant.
And his sister Zoe, who's his twin, take a shot.
I know, right? They all have twins.
She's the popular kid because she tries to fit in as quickly as possible, whereas Fran is just like, I'm like a low-key hipster because I don't like popular things.
Oh, there was something that there was a line in the beginning that I really liked where, I'm just going to read this out. A book is like a little room you can carry around with you, and anytime you need to, you can slip in there to get away from it all. But of course, a book is not really a room. You are really standing there or sitting there in plain sight, and eventually somebody is bound to come over and talk to you, and usually they ask what you're reading. So you put down your book and you smile and you start telling them about it, and before you know it, you've made a new friend. I really liked that.
I love that.
Diane Stanely says is really well constructed, as well as there's always a grain of truth to every time someone has a monologue. It works really well.
But I love the writing style. It's very conversational. It's sort of in a way, it's a little bit No Sleepy almost, because it feels like somebody's just this girl's just telling you a weird thing that happened to her.
Yeah, it really feels like just a young girl.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to a young girl compared to
when we did Curse of the Mummy's Tomb with B from Unfortunate associates, they were talking about how it kind of weirded them out that sometimes the narration would be really like childlike and conversational, and sometimes he would say things that would be like more complicated than what you'd think a 12-year-old would use. But Diane Stanley's really got a good voice. Like, Franny sounds like a realistic 12-year-old who reads a lot.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
Not too smart, but definitely smarter than some other 12-year-olds.
Well, that's because she reads books, and reading power, kids.
She reads Anne of Green Gables.
And
David Copperfield she likes.
Yeah.
But one book that she's not reading, you know the books she's not reading? The Chillers by I.M. Fine.
She's read a couple, and they're fun. She can see why everybody likes them.
But she doesn't quite understand why people keep reading them every month.
And why the Chillers books are like the taste-making book series for all children in America now, because she's having a conversation. She's sitting in the lunchroom having a conversation with this boy called Beamer, whose real name is Scott, but he's a bit of a space cadet, so everybody calls him Beamer, as in beam me up, Scotty, which I thought was pretty funny. They get into Beamer and Franny get into a conversation about how weird it is that everybody is freaking out over these jelly worms.
They go to the stores and they're all sold out.
It was weird to me that the jelly worms are a candy, but it is described that everybody's like playing with them as if they're like a toy. And I was imagining, you guys remember those bugs?
Creepy crawlies?
Yeah! And you would get them and you'd stretch them out. They're kind of like made out of that same weird sticky stuff that they made Stretch Armstrong dolls out of.
Yeah.
And it was like, and you'd like throw them and they'd stick to stuff. I was imagining them like that. But then they go to buy them at the supermarket and they're candy and they're like dragging them around and stretching them out and throwing them at stuff and then they eat them. That's so gross.
Remember, because in the book, the jelly worms come to life and start attacking people. So that's what happens in the book. So the kids are going to like recreate everything that happened in the book.
So then after that, they have a conversation with their parents about like, oh yeah, this I.M. Fine guy, he's writing these books and the kids love him and they put all of the jelly worms references in and then all the kids buy up the jelly worms and the dad's like, that's really smart. I'm going to go out and buy stock in the company that makes the jelly worms, which is called the Cute, but it's with a K, so it's like Coot.
Coot candy?
Coot candy.
It's like Wonka bars.
Yeah.
Which honestly feels pretty modern, because I see a lot of people spelling cute that way nowadays online.
Well, it's because people don't know how to spell.
I have never seen anybody spell cute like that. I've seen Kyute.
You see, I've never seen it spelled that way either.
I have seen Kyute.
Well, you gotta remember, in the 90s, it used to be extreme was always extreme. Like, they always had the X instead of EX.
Because poor literacy is cool.
Then like a month goes by, and then suddenly kids start getting mysteriously sick.
They start getting these really painful migraines that won't go away. And Franny starts to think it's weird, so she and Beamer go around the school, like a notepad, and they like note everybody who has been suffering from these migraines, and they like cross-check it with people who have been reading the book. So they're like, hey, you got a migraine? Yes. You've been reading I Am Fine? Yes. And they find out that the most recent I Am Fine book to come out was about a microwave pulse that makes people's heads explode.
Which is pretty awesome, because never in a Goosebumps book did anybody's head actually explode.
I know, I was thinking about that the whole time. Like, a lot of it's the same with the fake Goosebumps series that the main character of Body Parts was reading. A lot of these, like, fake Lawyer Safe Goosebumps books that they have in Goosebumps knockoffs, a lot of the like ones that they do to be self-referential, they're way more hardcore than the actual Goosebumps books.
Oh, totally.
It's possible that it's kind of like the joke about like EC Comics and how they're super gory and like demented the minds of children, but really they're like really cheesy and tacky and amazing.
They're pretty tame.
You know, the headaches were mildly harmless.
Yeah, they just kind of, Franny gets it too, because she, like, just to test her theory, she reads the book, and then she has to put the book down because she suddenly gets the horrible headache that doesn't go away, but then it just kind of magically disappears.
Yeah, because then the next book comes out, and it's like The Serpent King.
It's called The Secret Serpent Surprise.
Secret Serpent Surprise.
Which is a horrible title.
Like, something that you order, and then you, like, it's like a pie, and you open it up, and instead of it being, like, a delicious, like, meat or fruit filling, whatever your choice may be, like a snake jumps out, like one of those cans with the snakes that jump out.
That'd be terrifying.
I kind of want this pie now. Meg. Thank you.
And then in brackets, snake surprise.
You just got snacked.
You just got snurprised.
Then this is where the most horrifying thing I found in this book is that they're sitting in class, and all of a sudden this girl starts like hissing and falls out of her chair and starts convulsing as if she's having a seizure.
Well, she's at the board first, and she's...
Yeah, she's at the board, and the teacher asks her to give the answer, like, what's 5... I'm terrible at maths, so I don't know what it actually was.
Like 5 times 4, 20.
No, but the answer started with an S, and so she starts going, and then the teacher's like, yep, 60, or whatever it was, and then she just collapses on the ground and starts hissing.
It's pretty well done.
It's horrifying.
It's creepy. Yeah.
I like how it just faded out from like 60 to just... And then all of a sudden she's on the ground, and they think it's a seizure.
Yeah, because then Franny jumps out and she's like, we gotta get the nurse. So she runs down to the nurse's office and she notices a bunch of kids are doing it too. It's like an epidemic.
That good old Franny, she's on top of things.
She's like Nancy Drew a little bit.
She really is,
She is, and they name checked Nancy Drew a few times.
And Beamer's like the Hardy Boys. Or Hardy Boy.
Well, wasn't there a guy in Nancy Drew? Didn't she have like a friend?
She had Ned, which was her boyfriend.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a hot minute since I've read anything from the Nancy.
Oh, Cameron's like a Nancy Drew expert.
Oh, good.
I do love Nancy Drew, yes.
I'm glad someone in the world is. Because it's not me.
And if only we had someone that was like a Boxcar Children expert, we'd be set.
Oh, yeah, we'd be like the Holy Trinity.
I like Boxcar Children. I'm not an expert, though. I've not read enough of those.
And so then they find out that the snake thing is happening all over the country because all of the news reports are about it. And, like, the CDC's been called in.
Just imagine that board meeting. Hey, guys, kids are now becoming snakes. What do we call this virus?
It's no... Well, they're trying to, like, figure out what it is, and they're like, oh, is it terrorists? Is it
something in the water?
Is it something in the water? Is it, like, mass psychogenic illness? And they, like, test them, and Franny's sister, Zoe, ends up in the hospital.
Yeah, because she also has it.
She's been snacked.
It's almost like a zombie movie. Oh, no, she's got the bite.
You guys know that story about that town where everybody danced until they dropped dead?
Are you talking about is that the one in France? Where
the dancing sickness in the Middle Ages, where everybody just randomly started dancing and then they couldn't stop.
No, I'm thinking there was a town in France in like the 50s where like everyone started going crazy.
Well, that was because of the LSD testing. But I'm talking about something that happened in the Middle Ages that nobody knows why it happened still.
I don't know. It could also be like... One of the theories about the Salem witch trials is that...
Ergot poisoning.
Yeah, ergot poisoning.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned the Salem witch trials in here, too. Like, when they're talking about it, like, oh, this could be something like what happened in Salem when all of the children thought they were possessed by the devil. Yeah, so she goes to the library, and she's like... At this point, Franny is convinced that I.M. Fine is somehow behind all of this.
She just has a very fine intuition about it.
Yeah. But she's actually quite like genre savvy because she picks up on like as soon as the people start getting headaches and as soon as she finds out that the book is called Mind Meld.
If this was like made later, like now, we just imagine going on like Reddit or like conspiracy boards and it would be the first thing that would pop up.
She'd definitely go on the internet and just be like, guys, what's this? And then people would be like, conspiracy, aliens.
Bigfoot did it.
It's Illuminati.
Illuminati confirmed.
You see, because the world is flat, all these
I saw the greatest tweet the other day that was like, I got banned from the Flat Earth Believers Discord server for posting this picture, and it's like a little comic strip of a flat Earth and then there's dinosaurs, and then the meteor comes down, and it's the Earth, and the Earth like spins around like a disc, and all of the dinosaurs fly off.
I saw that one.
It's so funny.
I can't breathe. I love that one.
It's the best.
I'm not sure. No, I didn't send that one to you. I know I sent a couple of weird memes to you.
You send me ridiculous memes on the daily, pretty much, and I don't even respond because I don't know how to.
It means they're working.
And invariably, I save them, and then I send them to my boyfriend, and the chain continues.
Yay! I could just cut you the middleman out and just keep sending them to Henry if I had his email.
Mail them to his house.
That's a good idea. Send me his address. Oh, God.
So Franny tries to figure out everything that she can about I Am Fine.
Yeah, so she goes to the library and she asks the first librarian, excuse me, do you know where I Am Fine lives? And the woman's like, no one knows where I Am Fine lives. It's a mystery.
And he's not listed in any of those books where they, like, list authors.
No, and if you go in the back of the book, it doesn't tell you. It's like, oh, I Am Fine lives with his 12 cats, 3 wives, and he lives in Baltimore.
He lives in your basement. You reading this right now.
The books are coming from inside the house.
Oh, I was going to say this was another scene where they brought up Nancy Drew. The librarian was saying that, the Nancy Drew books were all ghostwritten, that there wasn't an actual Carolyn Keene, and that might be the same case with the I Am Fine books.
I didn't know that.
At first, I thought it was going to be like a ghostwriter thing, because when you think about it, I Am Fine. What real person would have that name?
It's a pretty awesome name.
People would be like, hey, what's your name? What's your name? I am fine. I didn't ask how are you, I asked what's your name.
Ah, God. So they start, going through the library looking for stuff. They even tried the internet, except they hit a roadblock. That's where they look at one of those sites where you can, like, reverse find people. And the problem is, though, is you have to pay $20 to use it.
Who has that kind of money in this, the year of our Lord, 2001? Honestly, but they're better at searching the internet than the kids in Body Parts were, because the kids in Body Parts, they literally just put Chang on the internet, and then they wanted to see what would happen. Like...
Well, at least this one makes sense, because they realized there might not...
Yeah, at least these kids are actually, like, they understand how the internet works.
Well, also, you gotta remember, in, like, Body Parts, they were using, like, dead search engines even at that time.
Yeah, like Ask Jeeves.
Beamer gets the smartest idea, and he actually goes back and looks for the very first Chiller's book, and it actually says that where I Am Fine lives.
Actually, I think it was JD that finds the book, because they go to the library, and JD finds the book, and they're like, JD, you've done it! You genius!
Yeah, it was her brother.
Aw, gosh, thanks.
That's a good 10-year-old boy voice, Zack. Youngs. That's what they all sound like, every 10-year-old boy.
Well, now they sound rather cool, because this is no, it's not. It's like swag, YOLO, YOLO, swag, 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 YOLO, Vape Nation.
It's gonna be lit.
So then they discover, where I Am Fine lives. And I Am Fine actually lives close to where his Beamer's grandparents live. It just so happens, and it's also just so happens that's where the, Kooky Crazy Candy Company lives.
It just so happens. Of course. It's all falling into place.
See, it's that you're supposed to make that connection yourself.
No, you see, if in the words of George Lucas, it's poetry. It rhymes.
It flows as one in sync into the sunset.
I feel like I should say something as well, because you guys have something, but all I can think of is my anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon. I don't know why that popped into my head, but it did.
Oh, God. Oh, you can cut out all of my annoying laughter over here, just saying.
We keep it in for authenticity.
Oh, no.
The weirdest thing, the most unbelievable thing happens in this book, and that is Franny's like, hey, Mom and Dad, can I go with my friend Beamer to his grandparents that live, like, in a state away? Just me and him. And they're like, sure, kiddo, here's $20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I have ever gone on, like, a family. I've definitely taken my friends on family trips with my parents, but...
Yeah, no, just by herself. By herself with Beamer to his grandparents' house.
Yeah.
And even Franny was saying, she was like, she was worried about what the house was going to be like. It's these old people that she's never met, and she doesn't feel quite comfortable. And you'd think if she didn't feel quite comfortable, that the parents wouldn't be so comfortable with her just going there.
Yeah, it turns out that, Beamer, his last name's actually Dahmer.
That's your first clue, guys.
She's like, hey, Franny, do you want to see my Power Joe collection?
Exactly.
Here, let me put some acid on your brain, Franny.
So Franny and Beamer go to Beamer's grandparents' house, and they're really cool people. They always go to weird takeout, like Thai food and Indian food. Ooh.
Sushi, what's that about, right? Do you guys remember when, like, nobody knew what sushi was?
I don't, because I live in California. No one eats sushi. They eat California rolls, which isn't sushi.
I've never had sushi.
I don't know. I feel like there's like the scene in like The Breakfast Club where Molly Ringwald is eating sushi, and I imagine that's when people are like, you can eat rotten fish.
Yeah, because they were making fun of her in that movie.
Look, I can remember the first time I saw a sushi restaurant, and my sister was like, this is called sushi. We're gonna eat it. And I tried it, and I loved it. I love sushi.
Oh, I hate sushi.
I love Japanese food.
I've never tried it. I can't get past it. No way.
So they have sushi, and
Because they're hippies.
The first night they have Chinese takeaway, and then, like, that sounds like my ideal house because I love takeaway, and I love, like, foods of the world.
they start going around town. First, they go to... Don't they go to Crazy Candy first, because that's their first real lead? Is that...
Well, no, what happens is they go to the pool, and the girl freaks out at the pool.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was actually a really creepy scene.
Yeah, that was, where she's just like, no, get away from me, and there's nothing there.
And she's like pointing and there's nothing there.
And then she runs away from the lifeguard and, like, jumps back into the pool. And then as they're coming home from the pool, they turn on the radio and they hear a story about a kid who ran out into traffic.
I almost got hit by... No, he got hit by a car, but he was okay.
Yeah. And then that's when the grandmother's like, oh, I hate to say this, kids, but it sounds like your friend Allison might have been on drugs or something like that. And they're like, oh, no, we know her. She's not that kind of person. And the grandmother's like...
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool, Grandma.
She's cool, and crack is whack. They get on the bus, like, they walk from the swimming pool to the bus stop, and then they take the bus to the town. They start asking around. They go into a restaurant, and they meet
The barbershop. They go into the barbershop.
They go into the barbershop. They go into... At one point, it says, we went to a beer joint. What?
No, the barbershop was my favorite. Oh, yeah, the beer joint. That's
No,
what
I just loved the fact that they said beer joint and not, like, pub or bar.
And they wouldn't let them in, like, a respectable place, because, they can't have
they're,
minors
like,
there.
They're like 13.
No, they're like 12. Yeah, we can't have any of you there. Then that's when they go into the barbershop and my favorite scene takes place. And that's when they find out that, like, do you know anyone named I Am Fine? Fine? Why, that's a peculiar name. I've been cutting hair for like 60 years. And there was this old creepy kooky scientist. And he there's like espionage. And he was selling secrets to the Ruskies. And I died.
And then she's like, do you know where he lives? And he goes, yeah, 6 feet under a tombstone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Womp womp, he dead.
R.I.P., baby.
He still thinks that they're fighting the Soviets. Better dead than red.
Find out that I Am Fine may have had a child who still lives in this creepy old house.
Yeah, no, then that's when they go to the candy place, and
Yeah.
we'd like to speak to the President Candy, please.
Yes.
And the secretary's like, no, because he retired.
He lives in like Florida or something.
Yeah, he lives in Florida with all of the retired people.
Yeah, he's like old. He's like a nearly dead. That's people that live in Florida. They're nearly deads or newlyweds.
They're living out their last days on the beach. They don't want to be bothered.
They don't want to be bothered, especially when like this guy most likely looks like Gene Wilder, because this is pretty much like the Wonka factory.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's like, fine, we'll leave you a message. By the way, do you know where this house lives? Oh, yeah, it's that one house on the hill. And there's, like, lightning crackle.
Ba, ba, ba.
So then they go up to the house, and they knock on the door. And this, like, after a couple of minutes, the door finally opens up, and there's, like, this weird woman. And, like, hi, are you I Am Fine? And she, like, slams the door in their face before saying, no one lives here.
Yeah. But then they try again.
And she's like, leave me alone.
And then they see the mail truck coming.
And they go to look at the mail, and Beamer's like, isn't that a federal offense? And she's like, no, I'm not tampering with the mail. I'm just gonna look at it.
And then they see that the letter says, I am fine.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then that's when they realize, I Am Fine is not a man, but a woman. Bum, 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 bum.
What? Yeah, so then they break into her house.
Oh, no, they wait for her to leave. And then that's when they go into the back and open up the door. And then that's when this has, like, the real only, like, Goosebumps ending where they see a big dog, but it's okay, it's friendly.
And the dog sounds adorable, by the way.
Didn't they describe? I don't remember what type of breed of dog it is.
They say it's a shaggy black dog with brown ears and white feet. And so that to me sounds like an Australian Shepherd, which, fun fact, don't actually come from Australia. I have never seen one here.
One of my friends, their dog is an Australian Shepherd, and she just loves me. And Maya, if you're listening to this, you're my main dog squeeze.
But then the dog starts yapping at them and chase them into a closet.
They find her will, right? And she has willed everything to the dog. And they also find a video cassette tape.
Whoa! That's like space technology at this point.
Oh, I know, right? Like, and then they take it. They take the video cassette tape. Because they're like, oh, this must be her video will. And then they also see that there's a new I Am Fine book coming out called Avenged World.
Then they hear that she's coming back, so they book it outside, and they start running back.
And while they're at Bemis' grandparents' house, they use the phone in I Am Fine's basement. They call the grandparents to say that they're at someone else's house and that they're going to be home after dinner because they figure they're going to be late and they need to explain themselves. And this becomes a plot point later on because as they're running to get out, they knock the phone over.
Yeah, they knock the phone over, and as they're running, like, out, like, basically a couple houses back, Franny turns around, they see I Am Fine staring at them.
Frowning disapprovingly.
I feel like she's, like, shaking her bony finger, too.
You kids!
She doesn't even know. She's holding her fist up in the air and shaking it.
You kids!
You got off my lawn!
You get out of my basement, you kids!
You kids? So they run all the way home fast as they can because they're like the not R.L. Stine kids. And they get a phone call from I Am Fine. And she's like, you better give me back that videotape or else I'll call the police.
And she's pretty harsh with them, too.
Oh, no, she is like prime witch.
She is really.
And then she says, you have no right to watch that videotape. Do not watch it. And what do?
They immediately watch it. And it's like the chapter ends with her saying, do not watch the videotape. And then you turn the page and on the next chapter begins with, we put the videotape in the machine and...
Like, we totally put it in. And my favorite part is that they made a copy of the videotape while they were watching it.
And she goes into this little diatribe about how it's like so funny to her that adults think they know everything, but who do they call when the VCR breaks down? They call the kids. That's so true. Like, that's even like 1,000 times more true today.
Because my grandparents are like, Zack, show me how to use the Googles. And I'm like, Grandma, it's this button right here. No, I don't understand it. Show me it again. Grandma, this is how you do it. Am I doing it right? No, that's Internet Explorer. But where's the Googles? Do I Google Googles?
Oh, no.
That's an actual conversation I've had with my grandma.
Don't Google. Nan, don't Google. It'll break the internet.
So they watch the video.
I Am Fine is crazier than a bat out of hell. She explains that her father was great, like, scientist, that the U.S. government was like, I'm going to take a guess and say this is during, like, the McCarthy era.
Yeah, the early Cold War, the 50s, because he died, I Am Fine, the original one, died in the 50s.
So they're like, yeah, you're a communist, and you've been blacklisted. So they falsely imprison him, and on the way to, like, getting, like, the repeal, because they find out that, you know, he's fine, him and his wife die.
Yeah, in the car crash.
Leaving Irma and her sister... Because she has a sister now.
Iris.
A twin sister.
And for extra points, for those of you playing the game at home, they're redheads.
Oh, yeah, they're redheads. So, I Am Fine, or Irma, that's her real name.
Yeah.
Has been on a quest for revenge against the entire United States government for killing...
The entire world! The entirety of Western civilization!
She got the idea probably after reading Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
After years of studying, she found a book. Now, this isn't an ordinary book. No, this is a magical spell book.
It is a book
and in it, she
of real magic. For really real.
Of real magic. And she discovered that she could infuse magic into her words to make children do what they want. Or she wants. And that's where she started, like, writing it, where, like, all of her books... Like, she purposely made it so all of her books would start selling. And then she'd start doing little tests. You know, with first the gummy worms... and then the children's headaches, and then the hissing, and so on and so forth. But her final book, avenged world will end the entire world.
One thing that kind of confused me, though, is that the book that they're reading about the gummy worms is like book 20-something in the series. What about all the other books before that? I wonder if they had any effect on the kids.
Maybe she was just, like, building it up.
Maybe.
Like, she was just trying something a little bit more extreme every time. So it's like, oh, maybe in this one I'll tell the kids, I'll put in a psychic message to, like...
Kill John Lennon.
Oh, you took that in a totally opposite direction. I was going to say, like, to go out and buy... I don't know, a pair of shoes or something, or like to go do something. Like just like little things, and then like when she confirmed that it worked, she started doing like, okay, I'll do something more ridiculous. Okay, everybody's gonna get the gummy worms. Everybody's gonna have a headache. Everybody's gonna drop to the floor and pretend to be a snake.
New World Order, everyone became super smart.
Yeah, her end game is like really like the new suggestion in the book is going to be that like after you read that book, you're never gonna be able to read again. And I don't understand exactly how that works.
You know the sad thing is like in the end, she really did get what she wanted because no one really truly reads anymore.
And also the thing is, she was like, there's gonna be too many. All of the young people will be powerless and without jobs, and it's like, oh no, she predicted the world.
All because of a Chiller's book, or Goosebumps in our case. I think Goosebumps screwed us up.
I Am Fine ruined the economy.
Because wasn't that like an idea that Franny has, like, oh man, she can manipulate the economy just like what my dad did. Or she can make like everyone, like she just writes like a Chiller's book, and everyone gets world peace. Bing!
Yeah.
And world peace occurs. No,
unless it's in one of the countries where the Chiller's books are not published. Like, would she have been able to stop North Korea?
Then the American people would make Operation Chiller Thriller, and they would just start airdropping books.
Just airdropping Chiller's books into North Korea.
And she could put a spell on the books to make people read them. Oh, this book just dropped from the sky. I have to read it.
Oh, and I am suddenly compelled to overthrow the government and create a democracy.
And just, the first person they just have to get is... So, okay, this is how they do it. They first get Dennis Rodman to read that Chiller's book, and then he gives it to Kim Jong-un, because then he has to read it.
And then everybody has to read it. Oh.
See, there you go. Toppling world governments very easily.
Honestly, I'd read that book. Dennis Rodman Saves America.
So, what was I gonna say? So they decide to give it back to Irma because they need to, but then Beamer has like this weird like epiphany where I gotta make a phone call. So they go back the next day to give her back the tape. Hopefully they'll be kind and rewinded it. When that happens, their teacher comes, Mrs. Iris.
No, Mrs. Lamb, but her first name is Iris.
And it turns out that Iris is I Am Fine's sister?
Yeah, her maiden name is Iris Fine.
Iris, Mrs. Lamb, is the teacher in the very first sentence of this book.
Yeah.
And that's why I could not remember for the life of me
I
who
know,
this
it's like,
character was.
I almost forgot who she was.
I did too. As soon as she like stepped out of the car and they're like, oh, it's her. She's her twin.
woman?
I was like, who is this person?
That is the only issue I have with this book, is that revelation comes out of nowhere.
And what are the odds of their teacher being the twin of I Am Fine?
I thought it was going to be like...
Yeah.
Like Franny's mom was going to be I Am...
I thought it was going to be the grandma.
That would have been cool too.
I thought it was going to be the waitress at the diner that they were talking to.
Oh, that would have been good too, yeah.
Because they made a big deal about how nice the waitress was and how much that she helped them.
So then the book ends with a very happy ending. I Am Fine decides to stop writing books, and she's going to not make Avenged World. The last book that she writes, everyone can only read about half of it and then puts it down, and then her sales start plummeting.
But they put it down not because they can't read it, but because it's so boring.
Yeah, the last bit of the book is the librarian saying that the kids don't come in for the Chillers anymore. They're all checking out
David Copperfield! Because it's such an exciting book.
Because they're like, do you want to check out 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? No, let's recheck out David Copperfield. So I Am Fine.
Yeah, you want to read something new and different? No, I'm going to read David Copperfield again.
I like this book. This book was adorable.
Yeah, and I really liked how it was written. It was just like so much like more natural sounding human interactions than what we're used to on this program.
I know. It's one of those books where I can see myself reading this again or even reading this to a kid. or giving it to a kid. It's
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna save this one.
It's really charming.
I love it. And the sad thing is I really tried to get Diane Stanley to come on our show, but her website was up, and then the day after, like, I'm going to try to email her, her website wasn't there anymore.
She pulled an I.M. fine.
Yeah, she pulled an I am fine.
She knew.
Like, her domain just ran out. So, Diane Stanley, if you're listening to this, we really want to have you on our show, and I really tried.
She's hiding in a bunker somewhere with Margaret Clark.
Yeah. Oh, and J.R. Black, they have him tied up.
And J.R. Black, yeah. No, well, J.R. Black is, I feel like J.R. Black is, like, not a human being, but, like, an entity.
Oh, he's like an elder god?
That just, like, sort of like a collection of all of the bad writing that floats around out there in the world.
Oh, so no, it's, okay, you know, I just thought of it's like the color out of space. So, like, it possesses a person, and then they write, like, a shitty children's book, and then it goes out of them.
Yes.
Like, what happened? Why did I write this book under J.R. Black's name?
I woke up in a field, and my hands were inky.
Cameron, what did you think of this book?
I love it. It was one of my favorites from when I was a kid, and it still holds up even today, even with the VHS tape and everything.
So, what book are we reading next week, Zach?
Meg, don't you know? Oh my god, the axes! Why there's so many
Circus.
axes? My limbs! Oh god, there's blood
Oh,
everywhere!
is it Fear Park 2?
Yes.
Is it Fear Park 2? Yes, 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 yes!
That's what we're reading next week. We're reading...
Yes!
Is it
Good.
the second Scream? I don't have the book with me.
Probably, I don't know.
Because the last one's called The Final Scream, so this has to be the second Scream.
The middle Scream.
The littlest Scream.
The middle Scream. It's not as popular as the first Scream, or the second, or the final Scream, but its parents still want it to know that it's loved.
Yes, very loved. Very homely.
So, do you have a joke for us from the masterful mind of Jovial Bob Stein?
What's Godzilla's favorite sport?
I don't know.
Squash!
Oh!
Oh!
Good old Jovial Bob Stein at it again.
Jovial Bob!
So guys, we got a new iTunes review.
Woo!
So from Sid at Sydney from Dablek, Dablc. It's amazing to see books still appreciated by so many others. I'm a huge fan and collector of R.L. Stein books, and it's great to see his genius celebrated. Dope. Listen, guys, I subscribed. Emoji, finger pointing up.
Very nice. You guys deserve it.
Nice. I rate that review 10 out of 10.
Would review again. Let's review that again. Cool, nostalgic feel. From Sid at Sydney from DABLC. It's amazing to see these books still appreciated by so many others. I'm a huge fan and collector of R.L. Stein books, and it's great to see his genius celebrated. Dope, listen, guys, I subscribed. And they have like an emoji that has like it's a finger pointing up, so it's a finger up. I get thumbs up. So, Cameron, where can they find you?
You can find me at Book Movie Guy on Twitter, as well as on YouTube at Cameron Chaney.
Sweet. How often do you upload videos?
It varies. I try. I would really like to upload once a week, but it's usually every other week.
What have been some of your best things that you've produced?
Just since the beginning of October, I've been doing a series on Paperbacks from Hell by Grady Hendrix. I did a review of his book, and then I started going through my own collection of horror paperbacks and doing collection videos, and those have been doing really well lately.
Radicool. Where can they find you, Meg?
You can find me at Meg Tuden on Twitter. That's at MEGTUTEN. You can also find me at sodasodabanana.tumblr.com, and you can check out my Redbubble store, which is redbubble.com/people/Megan Tuden. That's MEGHANTUTEN. I've got Nightmare on Fear Street merchandise up on there, so check it out.
Sweet. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Suda41, SUDA. Or if you want to email our show, you can email us at nightmarefearstreet@gmail.com. If you want to follow our show on Twitter, that's at nightfearstreet. And if you subscribe to our Patreon, where we just have some new exclusive bonus episode where I, Zack, go through the mystery of Chimney Rock, you can find that and even purchase it for $1 on Patreon. So that's Patreon/Nightmare on Fear Street. And you'll also be getting sneak peeks of our future episodes as well.
Nice.
I'm Zack.
I'm Meg.
I'm Cameron.
And stay spooky.
Bye-bye.